Hello students, it's Miss Medina, and in this video we're going to be graphing quadratic equations from standard form. Get ready. Alright, this is going to be fun. I enjoy graphing quadratic equations. Alright, so what we're going to graph is this one. F of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 8. And I'm going to show you all the different things that you need to find in order to go ahead and sketch this graph. The first thing you want to identify is whether your graph is going to open up or down, and whether it has a maximum or a minimum. So what you're going to do is you're going to identify your A value. So let's just go ahead and identify A, B, and C. So A is 1, B is -2, and C is -8. You don't really need all of them, but yeah, everybody needs practice identifying A, B, and C. Alright, so now you're going to focus on your A value. And if A is positive, then the function is going to open up. So if we're looking at our A value is positive, so it's going to open up. So it's going to look like this, right? And it's going to have a minimum because look at it. It's a little valley in between two mountain tops, I guess, if you want to think about it. So you're going to have a minimum. When A is negative, then the function opens down and you end up having a maximum, right? So this would be, it opens down and you end up having a maximum. But for this problem, it opens up and we have a minimum, okay? All right, check, done. The next thing you need to do is you need to find the roots or the zeros to identify the x-intercepts. I would always use two techniques, either do factoring or quadratic formula. And for these problems, factoring is going to be the more popular approach, so we're also going to be doing some practice on factoring again. Alright, let me see, let's try factoring. So we have 1 times -8, and the middle number is a -2, so we need two numbers that multiply to -8 and add up to -2. So -4 times 2 gives you -8, and then -4 plus 2 gives you a -2. And since the leading coefficient is a 1, we don't have to divide these. So then this is x minus 4, x plus 2. And so from here we get x equals 4 and x equals -2. So our roots are 4 and -2. And so from here you can now write those x-intercepts because x is 4. And the y-intercepts, the y value is 0, and here -2, 0. Notice that these are x's, so they go in the x position on these x-intercepts. And let's go ahead and plot these. So we have 4, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 0. And -2, 0. -1, -2. Okay, there we go. The next thing you need to find is the vertex, and of course we're going to use -b over 2a. So -b is the opposite of b. Okay, and let's see, b is -2, so it's going to be a +2 over 2 times the a value, which is 1. So we have a 1, and 1 is what we're going to plug into the function. The function being x squared minus 2x minus 8. So 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 8. That's 1 minus 2 is a -1 minus 8 is a -9. Alright, so we have the vertex. The vertex is 1, -9. And the axis of symmetry is going to be just the -b over 2a or the 1. Alright, let's go ahead and plot this information. The axis of symmetry is going to be a dashed vertical line at x equals 1. So x equals 1 here. Let me see if let me get a color pencil for this. Alright, let's see. X equals 1. I hope you guys can see this. I'm making a dashed line. I'm going to call that x equals 1. Okay? This is the axis of symmetry. And I'm going to plot the vertex, which is 1, -9. So 1, -9. It's all the way down here. So 1, -9. Okay. Oops, sorry guys. Alright, I'm trying to get my intercepts to kind of highlight them so they kind of stand out in the graph. Alright, once you find the axis of symmetry in the vertex, the next thing that you want to find is your y-intercept. And you get the y-intercept by evaluating the function at x equals 0. Basically, plug 0 for x. Okay, so here's your function. So it's going to be 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 8, which is going to give you negative 8. By the way, it's always going to be the constant. So your y-intercept is going to be 0, negative 8. Remember, x is 0, so the x value is 0. Then you go to your graph, we graph it, 0, negative 8. So 0, negative 8, right here. Okay. Make sure this is dry. Okay. And the last thing you want to do is you want to find 2 more additional points. And we do this by focusing on the vertex. We know that the vertex is 1, negative 9. Right, you want to make a table. You want to put the vertex here in the middle. So 1, negative 9. And what you want to do is you want to pick 1 point before this value. So 1 less than 1 is 0. And 1 more than 1 is 2. You always want to go 1 to the right and 1 to the left in terms of the x values. And just like we plugged in 0 in here, well, look, we get to plug in the same number. You can plug in 0 into the function. Right? The function being x squared minus 2x minus 8. But we already know what that is. When you plug in 0, you get a negative 8. Alright, here's the trick. This value and this value are always going to be the same because of symmetry. These functions are symmetric, right? They look like this with the axis of symmetry right here. Okay. All of these values right here, they correspond to the same y values. Alright, so if we're here at 0, negative 8, it's going to be right here, and 1, negative 8. So after the axis of symmetry, go over 1. Okay? I mean 2, negative 8. Alright, here's the other thing. Down here is going to be a smile. If you do a V like this at the bottom, you are wrong. Okay? It has to be curved at the bottom. So watch. These 3 points, watch how I'm going to curve them. Alright, I did my best in curving them. Alright, and then I want to go through this point. And I want to go through this point. And there you go. I've officially graphed it. So let me go ahead and do a quick recap. Let me lift the graph here a little bit. Alright, the first thing you want to do is you want to identify whether it opens up or down, and whether it has a max or a min, and you do that by looking at the A value. If A is positive, then it's going to open up and it's going to have a minimum. If A is negative, then it's going to open down and it's going to have a maximum. Okay? These go together always. Next, you want to find your roots, and you can do that by factoring or the quadratic formula. I did it by factoring, and I found my roots, and then that helped me write the x-intercepts. The y value is always 0 on the x-intercepts. You get the x's from solving here. Next, you find your vertex, and I use negative b over 2a, so my vertex was 1, negative 9. And my axis of symmetry is always the x value of your vertex. Next, you find your y-intercept. Basically, you plug in 0 for x, and you get your y-intercept point. Right? So these are my roots. This is my vertex. This is my y-intercept. And then last, you want to find 2 additional points. So you find 2 points, 1 to the right and 1 to the left of the vertex. And you plug one of the values into the function, and then these are always going to be the same. You plot those values, and then you draw your curve. Alright, have fun sketching, and please make sure that you show all of your work on a separate piece of paper. So you see how you got your roots and your vertex and all of that good stuff. Make sure you write everything down and then sketch on the graphs. Have fun.